Wayne Provo. TJ Rubley had a pretty good game for his first crack at this. He didn't play all that well against Hamilton, an exhibition game they won. That was Jeff Reinbold's assessment, but thought he did improve, look better in the exhibition game against the Alouettes. It's what he's looking for, to make steady improvements, and completes that pass there to Larry Thompson.
That may be the best throw he's made all day. I mean, he hit Chris Armstrong nicely on a post, but yeah, that was a pretty good throw right there. A lot of zip on it. He's 6'3", he stands tall, and when he steps up on that front foot, he has a lot of leverage, and that got to Thompson in a hurry, which that kind of pass has to do, or it's just no good.
Sets up the 2nd and 5. And Rubley will throw again, and nearly intercepted. Torrey Hunter was the closest man to the ball, and it just hit his hands and fell out.
I think Chris Armstrong slipped a little bit as he was running that hook into the middle, and Rubley threw it to where he thought he would be. And you have to do that as a quarterback. You have to have confidence that your receiver is going to get to that spot. And Chris Armstrong just slipped a little bit, and it wasn't Rubley's fault. Armstrong just couldn't stay on his feet. But those are the kind of plays that can all of a sudden go the other way in a hurry when your receiver falls down.
Well, he's been intercepted earlier in this game. That, as you pointed out, after a deflection by Doug Peterson at the line. And a nice laser punt by Bob Cameron. Chases right inside his 20. Good coverage by the Bombers as well, and the crowd getting fired up with the 58-yard punt by Cameron. What better way to celebrate Canada Day with Canadian football in the opening game of the '98 season.
And there's Dancing Gabe. He came up to the box. He's your new best friend now, isn't he?
Sure is. Well, he wanted to shake hands with you, too.
I was too far away.
Dancing Gabe, a fixture here. Mike Pringle, a fixture in that Montreal offense. Although things have slowed down a bit, he does have his 51 yards and a couple of TDs. Butleaf, they've done a pretty good job on him.
Yeah, they have for the most part, but it's like anything with Pringle. You know, one mistake and he's gone, and he had the long touchdown run in the first half on the counter. Winnipeg gambled, but the one thing you always can count on with Pringle, and we've talked about it earlier, he does not tire as the game goes along. He gets stronger, so when they get into the fourth quarter, you know, that he always figures that's his quarter.
Certainly has been in many games of the past. And here's Tracy Ham to throw it. Bill Coleman again. And trying for that first down marker, and he comes up shy. In fact, he's marked out of bounds at the 31. At a time last year when the Alouettes were looking for better wide receivers, they had the slot backs, but Coleman came along about midway through and impressed Dave Ritchie with his speed.
Well, they had still have Nigel Williams, young Canadian, I believe in his 3rd year, who's got great physical tools. You know, they always hope that the mental aspect of the game will catch up too, but essentially they weren't happy with him. They got Coleman, now they got Eddie Brown, and they do have Williams as a backup if they need him.
We had movement at the line, and I thought a whistle actually blew before that play got in motion, but Pringle carries the football. Flag on the play.
Well, the Bombers are going to be called for offside.
Winnipeg number 72, first down.
You know, sorry, Rod. I mean, this is starting to get tough. You give easy first downs, and that's a tough pill to swallow against a good team like Montreal.
Sure is. Gives them a first down, the 36-yard line. And going to work again. Some pressure on him. Still standing in the pocket. Joe Fleming almost had him, and Ham gets it away, close enough to a receiver. He was already called for grounding earlier in the game. That was close enough to Bill Coleman. Incomplete.
You know, one of the areas that Jeff Reinbold was concerned about was his secondary. Not that they weren't all good individual players, but they just hadn't played together at all. I mean, they were veterans other than Kwame Smith, but this group has done a great job this afternoon. Look at Tracy Ham. Not only does he have time to throw, but he just can't find anybody, and then in desperation throws it really away to avoid the sack. But this secondary hasn't made any notable mistakes at all this afternoon, and that's usually what happens early in a season with a new group.
So 2nd and 10 for Winnipeg. Heading down to the 4-minute mark of the 3rd quarter. Deep for Coleman. No good.
I jinxed them because they made a mistake.
He had him wide open there, didn't he?
He split the middle safety, Brad Elberg, and I believe it was Kwame Smith on the outside. There you see he has split the coverage and could have had a home run.
With Coleman's speed, looked like he was off to the races had he caught that ball.
Oh, they definitely dodged one.
So good break for the Bombers now as Baker stands at his 22, looking to punt it away. Winnipeg trailing by 6. They led at this point 14-0, I should say, at one point in the game before the Alouettes got things going. Go back to set up the return, but it is over the head of Eric Blunt, and he takes it at his 20 and out of bounds at about the 25-yard line. A punt of 55 yards. We're seeing some great punting today from Terry Baker and Bob Cameron.
Well, Terry Baker, I mean, he had a great year last year. He ended up the season just slightly under 45 yards a punt. So, I mean, that is his strong suit, punting. And Bob Cameron, I'm telling you, he never ceases to amaze me.
Baker went to Mount Allison, played CIU football, of course, with the Saskatchewan Roughriders as a punter, won a Grey Cup in 1989. Dave Ridgway, of course, back then was their kicker. In fact, kicked the winning field goal. But Baker does have the ring. He had some difficult years with the Ottawa Roughriders when that team was struggling before ceasing to be. And now with the Alouettes. TJ Rubley wanted Chris Armstrong. The coverage by Irv Smith. And some complaints from the Bomber fans thinking it should have been interference.
I think Irv Smith's timing was excellent. You know, you're going to have a look at it, but I mean, Rubley, boy, does he put some velocity on this ball. But watch Irv Smith come from the top of your screen. The ball is coming. Whoa, I don't know. Maybe I'll stand corrected on that. Maybe the fans.
Looks a little early.
Sometimes the officials will rule, was the ball catchable? And yeah, I think the ball might have been catchable. Hey, I'll take it back. I think that was interference.
What surprises me is how little Armstrong argued. It was more of the fans in an uprising there. You didn't see too many Bombers complaining about it. Rough recorder for Rubley and under pressure and chased out of the pocket. Fires and a complete. No, they're waving it off, saying it's no good. Spencer McLennan.
You know, for a guy that they said did not have a lot of mobility, TJ Rubley has shown us that he can avoid the rush as he gets outside here. The blitz is coming, and he is able to avoid it, get away from Stephon Reed, the linebacker coming. And, you know, from our vantage point, we just couldn't tell whether McLennan trapped it or not, but obviously he did.
So 3rd down for Winnipeg. Cameron back deep again to kick it away, but has enjoyed a very good day. He's had a couple of kicks in excess of 50 yards. And that's another pretty good spiral, hanging high and Wright settling under it at his 40. Nearly a block from behind, and Wright is sprung loose. Chris Wright, lots of room. Cameron the only one back, and he goes out of bounds at the 26-yard line. Special teams rears its head again. And the boos coming down from the Winnipeg fans who thought there should have been an illegal block, a clip way back at the 40-yard line.
Well, it was Don Robinson, number 29, that has the shot, and that's what the fans are complaining about. He's got the contain to the left of your screen, and, you know, if you're going to be the contained guy, you got to stay out. Now, that was right there, just if you saw it to the right of your screen.
And Wright has that speed to get outside. The second leading punt returner in the CFL last year, next to Mike Pinball Clements of the Argonauts. A great return. They're set up Montreal in business again at the 25-yard line. The Alouettes lead by 6, and they're in position to add to their lead now. They set up screen to Mike Soles, and Greg Battle buries him right at the line of scrimmage.
Well, Battle read that perfectly, and you know he's only seen these about 1,000 times in his career, and you know his soul sneaks out. Battle reads it, still has the acceleration to get out there, and the ball took a long time to get there, didn't it?
Sure did. That's got to be painful for the guy on the receiving end. That happened to you much?
It is not a lot of fun, and yes, it did. Thanks for bringing that up.
Hand to throw. End zone. Overthrown. Eddie Brown, the intended receiver.
Well, I think after that big punt return by Chris Wright, if all that Winnipeg gives up is 3 points, they should be pretty happy.
Terry Baker's had a couple of long field goals in this game, including one from 51, another one from about 45 yards away. A little frustration, I think, I sense with Tracy Ham. He hasn't had one of his patented, certainly not a great passing day for him.
Well, it's like they've never really established anything. It's like they haven't really established their passing game. They haven't really established the running game. They're kind of just caught in between right now of what they want to do, and they're just not doing anything really well.
Baker is 3 for 3. That one about 32 yards away, and it increases the Alouette lead to 23-14. They were down by 14, but 23 unanswered points, and they have the 9-point lead now.
And they've done it in a not a very flashy fashion, have they? I mean, it just seems like, you know, they've plotted away and almost in very unworkmanlike fashion, but all of a sudden 23 points later, Jeff Reinbold's team is in a hole, and I mean, this is not a great come from behind offense right now.
No, and you pointed it out, and something Reinbold must be a little frustrated with. Those penalties that kept Montreal drives alive, they have been very costly.
Well, it costs you plays during a game. I mean, you're only going to get so many, but you know, they've had at least 3 times that they've given Montreal first down. That's 6 plays right away, automatic, and add on a few first downs. That's at least 6 plays that his offense could have had the ball for and didn't.
I'm sure Reinbold would be the first to admit there's more pressure on him this year than last year.
Well, he inherited a team last year and had to try and rebuild it. But all the changes that, you know, we've documented, 15 out of 24 starters are new, but they're his decisions now. So he's going to have to justify what he has done.
Derek Blunt again at his 20 on the kickoff. Good yardage right up the middle over the 40-yard line to about the 43. And this is one of the big decisions for Jeff Reinbold, was bringing in a quarterback to replace Chris Vargas and Kevin McDougall. Vargas still here as a backup, but this is the man, T.J. Rubley, signed him to a 3-year contract.
Tough third quarter. I think what they have to do right now is to reevaluate what did we do well in the first half. And on first down, they threw swing passes to Eric Blunt that were very effective. They went to the short passing game outside of Larry Thompson. I think they've got to look back and reflect on what did we do well and maybe try to get back to that now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
He throws again. Over the middle. What a nice catch. Spencer McClennan to the Montreal 45.
Walt Spencer's a guy you have to love to the left of your screen here. He's been a defensive back, a slot back, all over the place, done everything he's always been asked to do, and now he's asked to stretch out in a vulnerable position and make that catch, knowing the hit from a tough hitter in Tom Europe is coming. He makes the catch, and you know, you look at little plays, that's a big one.
And here's another one. Sean Millington did this a time or two in BC. Straight up the gut, and about a 10-yard gain, close to, if not another Bomber first down.
And you see what that catch did for this Winnipeg team. You feel the crowd now is back into the game, and now the offensive line comes off. Millington's running harder. They create a good hole for him and almost get a first down, but that one catch, that one little play, has now brought new life back into the Bombers when they were pretty flat.
They do look a little more fired up now, as it's second and very short. Call it inches. Rubley's kept in this situation before, and he does again. And I'd be curious to know what Lee Pettersson's marks are on that keeper.
Again, I'm not overly impressed.
But he does get the first down right at quarter time, as the Alouettes have increased their lead here in the second half. on the strength of another field goal, but Winnipeg is on the move to start the fourth quarter. They've got momentum, and they're down by 9. They need some points. Let's head back to CFL Live Control and James Duffy.
You're watching CFL Live, and we're at the quarter. Here's your host, James Duffy.
All right, welcome back to CFL Control. We've been focusing on T.J. Rubley throughout this ball game. He looked very sharp in the first half, but the Als did get to him a little bit, especially at the start of that third quarter. Here are his stats. As you see, 9 for 17 in the first half, only 3 for 9 in the third quarter, and the most important stat, that one interception. Although it wasn't necessarily his fault. Looks like his arm may have been hit here as he was about to release it, but nevertheless, there's the pick. Tracy Gravely is off to the races, and just 2 plays later, Mike Pringle would go in, and that gives the Als the lead. Now, that last drive, he's looking okay again. He doesn't seem phased at all.
Right. Well, the 2 things I like about him, about T.J. Rubley, on a physical standpoint, number 1 is how well he throws the football. I mean, he's a classic quarterback in stance, the trajectory and the velocity on the football. He's going to complete some passes, and I really think that they have found a quarterback in T.J. Rubley for the entire season. But this is a critical time because this is where the good quarterbacks take over the game. A Danny McManus, for instance, will take this game over and complete the passes just like what Rubley did to Spencer McClanahan. That was a classic quarterback to a slot back seam pattern. That's what he's got to do. This is important quarterback for him, or important quarter for him to take it to another level, make it happen when he has to, Eric.
Well, Chris, we're talking about Winnipeg, and certainly T.J. Rubley is a story today, but the significant thing in the first half, I mean, in the second half, is the fact that Montreal, while it wasn't pretty, they took over the ball game, and they have a 9-point lead at this point. I think they went back and simplified their offense, went back to just establishing the run, and they have to feel good at this point, James.
All right, Montreal has outscored the Bombers 23-0 in the last quarter and a half here, and they've taken the lead 23-14 is the score. Let's head back now for the fourth quarter. Here is Rod Smith and Leif Pedersen in Winnipeg.
Thank you, gentlemen. It's Winnipeg fans that get the first live look at the CFL, but CFL Live continues all week. In fact, Leif and I hop on a plane, head out to BC Place to watch David Archer's first game back after being up in the booth with you and
see, he mastered broadcasting, so he said, well, heck, I've done that now. I might as well go back to play quarterback again.
When's your comeback?
Never.
Talk about that in a second as we look at Eric Blunt taking the swing pass. And the Bombers, who have been on the move in this last drive, picking up more yardage there, getting close to another first down.
Yeah, it's a good-looking drive, and back, you know, Eric Tillman talked about back to basics for the Alouettes. Well, this is back to basics again, too. They had success, I suggested, in the first half with the swing pass on first down. Again, a great call on first down. Give it to a guy who catches the ball well and runs even better. I mean, that's the kind of guy you want to get the ball in his hands in a hurry.
Another second and short yardage. This time he hands off. It's Blunt again. First down and a little bit more down close to the Alouette 20-yard line. The Bombers are indeed on the move. Down by 9. And with the fourth quarter beginning, pretty vital that they pick up something, at least a field goal here to keep it close.
Well, I think, you know, for a young team, when they get, you know, you only get so many chances against a good defense like Montreal. And now that you're, you know, getting close to inside the 20-yard line, you've got to be thinking touchdown.
See Ted Long back in this fourth quarter after being injured earlier. Flanking out wide right, and quick pass inside. Goes to Matt DeBuck. Takes it down about the 16-yard line. Another completion for Rubley.
Yeah, that's a good call, too. Spread the defense out. You're going to have some natural seams that are created by your formation, and then all Matt DeBuck has to do is to get inside position, which he did. Easy ball to complete. I mean, they get only about 4.5 yards, but nevertheless, another positive play in this drive.
It's second down. Rubley. End zone, but nobody there. He wanted Chris Armstrong. Good coverage on the play. And some complaints again about that coverage, but to no avail. It'll be third down.
Well, Harold Nash, 0-0. He's a tough one-on-one cover guy. And Chris Armstrong's just trying to get to the inside on him. And, you know, for Nash, he's allowed to establish his position, too. And he established it early, and there he is. And, you know, the ball, that's kind of ball that almost needs to be thrown more on the line. But he couldn't do it because Europe, the safety, was coming across. And, you know, that play just had no chance to succeed.
So they'll see if they can get 3. Troy Westwood. This will be spotted about the 24. Up and in. No problem as they cut the lead to 6 again on the field goal by Westwood. The Bombers at 3, 23-17 now in the fourth quarter. Rod Smith and Lee Pedersen back at Winnipeg Stadium, and good way to start things off here on Canada Day and the launch of the 98 CFL season. It has been a close game. The Alouettes were clear favorites. They were down for a while, and now it's Winnipeg trying to come back. They've cut the lead to 6 after the field goal by Troy Westwood, who will kick things off here. An interesting style as they break things up and then head down the field. At about the 20-yard line is Chris Wright, and he is met nicely by number 25, Sean Millington. Good special teams play.
He probably hasn't been on a whole lot of kick cover teams, but he makes the most of it here and gets through the block, and this is a good hit. I like that. You know, you get to be the hammer instead of the nail. You know, on offense, we used to say, well, we're always the nails getting hammered, but for Millington, that's probably fun playing on this team.
Well, his head coach now, Jeff Reinbold, used to be a special teams guy. What he thought with the kind of strength that he has coming down the field, he's buried a few defensive players, and there he gets a chance to bury Chris Wright on the return. First down, Alouettes. Pringle has it, and like many times today, they have him all tied up. He's had some gains, and you know he'll get more, but for the most part, they've done a pretty good job locking him up.
And again, Winnipeg makes the adjustment where they bring Maurice Kelly from the safety to linebacker and keep Elberg in, and watch how he fights through here, and he's going to run Pringle down from behind. He's coming kind of on a half blitz here. When he sees the play develop, he sneaks in behind the pulling guard Okiki, and that's a great first down defensive play to set yourself up in a good situation, 2nd and 12.
Kelly, one of the many former players of Jeff Reinbold, and they were in BC together and even in Las Vegas. Back with him again. Oh, in and out of the hands of Eddie Brown at midfield. And a good pop from Brandon Hamilton to make sure he didn't hang on to it.
You know what? I talked about this matchup early in the game where they put Hamilton on Eddie Brown and Kwame Smith on Mill Coleman. This has been a good matchup. I mean, we have not talked about Coleman and Brown a whole lot today. So these two corners have taken these receivers essentially out of the game, and it's because of the hit right there. He strips right through the football. That's what you're taught, fight through the ball, and Brandon Hamilton did a super job, and talk about a good defensive series for Winnipeg.
He's another ex-Lion that Reinbold knew well and came over last year, his second year in Winnipeg. Another long punt there by Terry Baker, and Ted Long has nowhere to go but out. But the 32, 33-yard line where Winnipeg will start after a 50-yard punt by Baker. There are a lot of ex-Lions and Las Vegas Posse players with Reinbold now. I mean, you could run down the list now. That even the guys he got with Maurice Kelly and Joe Kelly. Sorry, Joe Fleming, but I guess not. A coach gets used to certain guys that become free agents. Jeff Reinbold knows them, knows what their strengths are.
Yeah, and I don't think there's any question. I mean, Jeff has a lot of players around the league have some strong allegiances to Jeff Reinbold. I mean, he's a good guy to play for. So when the opportunity presents itself, I'm sure there's a lot of guys who love to come and play for him.
Throw it up to the side to Chris Armstrong. He has it, and a first down and more. Tiptoeing up the sideline. The sticks moving again for Winnipeg.
And when you run a screen like this to your slot back Armstrong, the key is to get the block at the point of attack. And to his credit, Larry Thompson got the key blocked, and that sprung Armstrong loose for the first down.
Handoff this time to Millington. Stuffed up fairly well for a gain of about 2 yards. And Stephon Reed, the linebacker for the Alouettes, has him all locked up.
And Stephon Reed has really been willing to stick his nose up into the middle. He kind of switches with Larry McSeed on who plays in the middle on certain defensive alignments, but he has really been able to stick his face in there on a couple of occasions this afternoon.
From Merritt, BC, in his 4th year from the CFL. Brumley throwing again. Nash has the coverage. And Armstrong, it appeared to be him or Larry Thompson, the intended receiver. Fans don't like it again, but seemed to be a bit of a mix-up there.
I think there was a mix-up with Chris Armstrong. I think Rubley was hoping that he would kind of take his pattern off to the corner, and he has to throw it. There's Armstrong right here, and you know, where the ball is coming out here, so he's expecting the receiver to get out there, but Armstrong really does. Armstrong has not looked comfortable the entire day. I know he's made some catches, but he just hasn't looked in sync with this offense and where he's supposed to be and where the quarterback thinks he's supposed to be.
So Winnipeg and Bob Cameron punting again. Coming down to about 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. They're down by 6. Another nice punt. Chasing right back to his 15. Stays on his feet. Good balance. Up to about the 25-yard